Zoo-wee mama, how's it going everybody? I'm here today to talk about all of the new cards coming to Marvel Snap very soon because the August season, the Young Avengers season, is right around the corner. Okay, and we've got some exciting new cards with the Season Pass card, Kate Bishop, and then these other Young Avengers with some pretty new and unique abilities. And so we're going to talk about them, their abilities, and I'll just give my first kind of thoughts and predictions and my ratings of how I think these cards are going to shape up. Okay, I also show the spotlight caches that they are currently showing they will appear in to help you plan out which weeks you might want to save your spotlight keys or collector's tokens for. Now, just a reminder that the season has not officially started yet, and so this is still data mined information. It is unofficial. But even once the season does start and is official, sometimes the cards change anyways, right? Sometimes cards get some extra power before they're released, even after the season starts, so there really isn't real official, unofficial times. So we're talking about now, okay? And we'll address each card individually as they come up when it's time to get released anyways, but let's jump right into it with the Season Pass card. So if you do decide to buy the Season Pass for August, you will get Kate Bishop, who is a 2-cost, 3-powered card with the on-reveal ability to add 2 arrows to your hand. Now, what do those arrows do? Let's take a look, okay? So first of all, we have 4 arrows here, so there are 4 possibilities. Kate Bishop will only give you 2, okay? So it's a bit similar to Snow Guard where she's adding 2 cards to your hand, but it's also a bit similar to Nico Minoru where it's kind of like cycling through. You're not gonna see all of them in one game, okay? You're only getting 2 arrows out of the 4. First up, we have the Acid Arrow, which is a 1-cost, -2 powered card with the on-reveal ability to switch sides. Okay, so you first play Kate Bishop. If Acid Arrow is one of the cards in your hand, it's kind of like a little mini goblin, okay, like a smaller green goblin, but it only costs 1. Very efficient there. Then we've got the Grapple Arrow, a 1-cost, 3 power. After you play your next card, move it to this location. Okay, so again, 1-3, that's just decent stats. And it has a little bit of utility here. We're actually moving a card. With the basic arrow, it starts off as a 1-1, but its on reveal is just like Hawkeye. If you play a card at this location next turn, plus 3 power. Okay, same mechanic as Hawkeye here. It will go up to 4 power, and then the Pym arrow works just like Ant-Man. Ongoing, if your side of this location is full, plus 3 power. So that will get up to a 1-cost, 4 power card as well. So again, you're only getting 2 arrows each time you play Kate Bishop, so you're not going to see all of them. But besides the Acid Arrow and the Grapple Arrow, I mean, they're all focused on stats, right? Basic and Pym get to 4 power. Grapple Arrow gets to 3 power, and it has the utility. The Acid Arrow is really the most unique, so you may have times where you really want that one, or maybe you really don't want that one because you just want more power. But it's going to be pretty consistent just because overall they're similar. They're all 1-cost cards. If you just need cards in your hand because of Loki and you're going to replace those cards anyway, then it doesn't really matter which arrows you get. So this card is going to be very exciting. It's interesting. It's dynamic. You know, people love playing Nico. She's a fun card and she's just good. So to give my ratings for the Season Pass card for August, while we look at this great Flaviano variant here, in terms of being fun, I think she's very fun, okay? Really good fun levels. You know, she's not making her own archetype, but she's doing a lot of things, and she's doing different things each game, and that keeps stuff fresh and fun, right? Cards like Nico, they're cycling through. A card like Iron Man, it does something different every time you play it because it's copying a different card. That keeps things interesting. In terms of being flexible, this is really good. It may even be amazing flexibility, but some decks you don't want too many cards in your hand, right? So adding 2 could be kind of bad. Obviously, she's going to work in Loki or any deck where you want stuff in your hand. You know, you just want some extra stuff to play. Zoo decks that want 1-cost cards want her. But just things where you want maybe some utility options along with good stats, because Kate's a 2-3 herself, and then the arrows have good power, and you don't have to play them right away. You can save it for kind of a bigger turn 6 play. It will discount Mockingbird if you play them at the same time. Maybe that discounts Sasquatch. I mean, there is real potential with the arrows and some other big cards in the game. In terms of being competitive, I think Kate Bishop is really strong. And first up, I know she's really strong because she looks great for Loki, okay? Loki decks are good. Right now we're seeing a lot of Arishem Loki, but even without Arishem, Loki is just a fantastic card, super competitive, okay? And right now in Loki, you've got Snowguard, who you can play on turn 1, and Snowguard adds 2 cards to your hand, which is good because Loki wants to replace cards in your hand. The more, the merrier. But for turn 2, really the main options are Cable and Valentina. Those add just 1 card to your hand. So Kate Bishop is actually better in Loki decks than Cable and Valentina for giving you that Loki fodder, okay? Maybe you even bring the Collector back in, and don't even get me started on Bounce. I mean, if you're able to play her multiple times, get a bunch of arrows, and if you get the Acid Arrow, it doesn't even take up space on your side of the board. I mean, there is real good potential here, and again, just by being good in Loki decks, it seems, I think Kate Bishop is going to be the strongest Season Pass card we've seen in a while. Next up, we've got Marvel Boy, who comes into spotlights on the very first week of the new season, starting August 6th. Marvel Boy's come in spotlights alongside Blob and Red Hulk, okay? Big boys. And Marvel Boy himself is a 3-cost, 2-powered card with the ability, after each turn, give 3 of your 1-cost cards plus 1 power. Now, he was originally data mined to give like +2 power each time. I'm like, this is absurd. But basically, let's say you play Squirrel Girl. Okay, that's the easiest way to do it. You can also play other 1-cost cards. But if you just play Squirrel Girl, you have 3 1-cost cards on the board. You play Marvel Boy turn 3. At the end of turn 3, he's going to power up all those squirrels +1. And he's already a 3/5 in essence. And it's spread across the board, right? At the end of turn 4, he's now a 3/8. Turn 5 is 11. At the end of turn 6, he's a 3/14. I mean, this guy ramps up very quickly, okay? Starting as a 3/2, but this is a Zudek's dream. I mean, it turns all these small little minions into just huge powered cards, and he's spreading it across different lanes. As long as you don't get hit with Killmonger, I think it's going to be pretty good. So here is the Spotlight variant for Marvel Boy. Also Flaviano. All of the Spotlights we see are Flaviano variants, which I absolutely love. He's my favorite artist in all of Marvel Snap, and these artworks are just amazing. In terms of being fun, I think Marvel Boy is okay. You know, he's not amazing, he's not as dynamic as Kate Bishop, but he's not just a boring stat stick. You do need to try and get 1-cost cards down first. He is spreading out that power. It's a little interesting. In terms of being flexible, it's okay. You know, obviously decks that already have lots of 1-costs are going to love them. But you do need the 1-cost cards down early, right? Like a Patriot deck that's just going to play Ultron at the end doesn't really benefit much because they're not getting the cards down early. You know, Shanna's going to be really good here. And maybe High Evo even. They like Sunspot, Nebula, and Misty Knight. Okay, so there are a couple different options, but they need to be decks where you have lots of 1-cost cards. Because you want at least 3, hopefully, when you play Marvel Boy. But you could just do Shanna into Marvel Boy. That's kind of the easiest way to get it done. In terms of being competitive, I think he's amazing as well. Again, he was first data mined to be even better, giving +2 power to each 1-cost every turn. But this is still insane, the amount of value. And when we look at other cards that get huge power for a low cost, we think of a card like Sage, right? Sage can become a 3/14, but it's all in one lane. If your opponent hits that Sage with a Shang-Chi or Shadow King, all that power is gone. It's wiped out. For Marvel Boy, that's not the case, okay? Unless all cards he's hitting are just the 1-cost cards you put in a single lane. I mean, it's spread out over the board. The only true answer is Killmonger, and you could obviously go for your own Kyera, but even if your opponent does have, you know, some kind of Shang-Chi or Shadow King to hit your cards, they're not going to hit all of the lanes that he's adding power. So from right now, in terms of how I view it, I think Marvel Boy is insanely good. If you haven't already, please give this video a like, give it that thumbs up, and leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you're new here, because in addition to talking about all the new great cards we have coming to Marvel Snap, I'll also give a breakdown of the upcoming spotlights to help you plan out spending your resources and produce a monthly Series 4 and Series 5 buy guide tier list. Next up, we've got Wiccan coming spotlights on August 13th alongside Loki and Pixie. Now that is a good spotlight cast to be in. Okay, you get put alongside Loki. Does that mean you're a bad card? Why are you alongside Loki? Everybody wants Loki. Wiccan is a 4-cost, 5-powered card with the on-reveal ability if you spent all of your energy this game plus 2 max energy. Now I added the so far to the text here for him. Just to add clarification, if you go to play Wiccan on turn 4, you just need to have spent all of your energy on turns 1, 2, and 3. This is kind of a new, not full mechanic, but kind of new interaction that we're going to see next as well. It's spending all of your energy every turn, okay? Kind of the opposite of High Evo where you want to flow energy. So here, you can try and get him out early. Maybe you play Zabu or Psylocke turn 2 to get Wiccan on turn 3, and as long as you played a card on turn 1 as well, you're going to get his ability. Now if you do miss any turn, let's say turn 1 you didn't draw any 1-cost card and you're not playing Quicksilver because Quicksilver sucks, and you float energy on turn 1, Wiccan is just a 4/5. Okay, he loses his entire ability if you missed 1 turn of energy before playing him. So my initial predictions for Wiccan, in terms of being fun, I actually think he has good levels of fun. This is a new interaction with the spending all of your energy, and he's got a big reward, right? He's kind of big risk, big reward. The risk is if you miss any energy, he's just a 4/5 that does absolutely nothing. There's no coming back. It's not like, a game where you're holding, some tech card or Shang-Chi or Shadow King in your hand and you're just waiting for a good moment. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. No, it's gone. Once the window's missed, it's missed. Whereas his payoff, though, plus 2 max energy, that sounds really good at first. Now, in terms of being flexible, no. This is not flexible. You want to try and be as consistent as possible. You need a deck that is specifically built to spend all the energy every turn. Maybe just have a ton of 1-cost cards. You've got 3 or 4 of them, and you've got a good amount of 2-cost cards, and maybe you're trying to even Zabu or Psylocke Wiccan out on turn 3, or maybe you're just running Quicksilver and maybe even Domino. Okay, but those are very specific decks or archetypes that could even afford to do something so bold. So he's not flexible. Now, in terms of being competitive, I've heard other people say they're a bit hyped on him, so maybe this is a hot take by me, but I'll explain why. I think he's bad, okay? I know we're not playing Yu-Gi-Oh!, but Wiccan looks like a trap card to me. First of all, he's in spotlights with Loki. People are chasing the spotlights already for Loki. Sometimes we see bad cards get paired with existing good cards, okay? It doesn't prove it, I'm just pointing that out. But really, it's his floor. People were really hyped on War Machine. You remember that? Everyone's so hyped on War Machine. Oh, you can maybe play War Machine and then you play like the Infinite on Sanctum Sanctorum. Like, that doesn't happen all the time, okay? It didn't happen often. And when it doesn't happen, which is often, he's just a 4/6. Well, when you miss any energy for Wiccan, he's just a 4/5. Like, his floor is bad, and you're gonna see the floor a lot. If you've ever played Mr. Negative, you know how often you do or don't get Psylocke into Mr. Negative turn 3, okay? And so getting Wiccan out on turn 3 is going to be difficult. Getting Wiccan out on turn 3 after making sure that you spent all of your energy on turn 1 is going to be even harder. And if you're not trying to get Wiccan out on turn 3, if you say, listen, I got this deck here, I can play something on 1 fairly consistently, I can play something on 2 and 3, then I do Wiccan on 4. And I get plus 2 max energy on turn 5. You're committing so many resources to Wiccan, making sure you don't float energy, just to get plus 2 by turn 5. Like, just play Arishem, okay? Just play Arishem and have plus 1 max energy from the very start of the game. It's way easier. It's way better. I think Wiccan is going to trap a lot of people. I think they're going to, think you can do some crazy combos, but by the time you build something consistent enough to spend all your energy every turn, now your hand is empty and you don't even have the cards you need. You just have a bunch of extra energy and nothing to do with it. Coming spotlights on August 20th alongside Jeff and Iron Lad. Also a very good spotlight week. I'm just pointing that out, but we may see a trend here. is Speed, a 3-cost, 3-powered card with the ongoing ability plus 1 power for each turn in which you spent all your energy. So similar to Wiccan in that it works off of spent energy, but here it's not all or nothing. Okay, Wiccan, if you missed anything, you don't get his ability. With Speed, he's just giving you plus 1 power for each turn you spent everything. So if you spent all of your energy on all 6 turns, he's going to be a 3/9 regardless of which turn you played him. If you spent all your energy on just 4 turns, then he's a 3/7. Okay, so he doesn't have the same ceiling, but he's much more forgiving. Okay, in terms of being fun, no, he's not fun. He's a stat sick, pretty straightforward. Again, kind of like Punisher, where he just gets plus 1 power for each thing. It's just looking at turns you spent energy instead of the number of cards on your opponent's side of the board. In terms of being flexible, no, that's tough. If you want a flexible 3-cost card that's going to hit around 8 power, you just play Gladiator. With Speed, you really want a deck where you are pretty confident you can spend your energy every turn. Because if you're confident you can spend your energy every turn, well, then you're still going to see games where you don't get it every turn and you get like 4 or 5. In that case, you know, Speed is still 3/7 or 3/8, but this is a specific deck as well. In terms of being competitive, this may also surprise you. I think he's okay. A lot of people are saying Speed is going to be the worst card of the season. Okay, a lot of people are saying he's just bad. He's horrible, right? He's kind of like no hype around him, kind of like Makari or, you know, Hydra Bob. Well, I think that's actually a good thing. Okay, so listen, he's not marvelous. He's not crazy, okay? He can be a 3/8, probably 3/7, 3/8 consistently in the right deck for him. Maybe he gets to a 3/9 when, you know, your game goes well and you draw well. He's kind of win more in that sense, which I don't love. But it's actually good that he doesn't have hype. And this may sound weird, but, you know, people thought Supergiant might be really good, and she kind of fell flat. A lot of people thought War Machine would be really good, and he fell flat. Okay, those cards don't really see play anymore, but a bunch of people got them right away. They've never been buffed. Makari, this past season, had no hype. People thought she was going to be horrible. She got buffed before she was even released, okay? The season already started, but she got buffed because people weren't hyped for her. Hydra Bob, people weren't hyped for him. He came out, nobody bought him. He got buffed real quick, right? I think if a card has hype, people get it right away. So even if it ends up being bad, it doesn't get changed, at least not fast. I mean, it took Grandmaster a long time to get his extra plus 2 power. Whereas cards like Makari, Hydra Bob, potentially Speed here, they're not very good, but people aren't expecting them to be good, so nobody gets them. So second dinner is much quicker to buff them. So I think in reality, it sounds funny, but I think Speed is actually better than Wiccan, definitely in the long run, because I think Speed is much more likely to get buffed from now until he gets released and even shortly after release than Wiccan is. I think Wiccan comes out bad, my prediction, and if he does, he's going to stay bad. I think if Speed comes out bad, he's going to get buffed to being decent. So I'm saying he's okay. And in the last week of the August season, on August 27th, we have Emperor Hulkling coming to Spotlights alongside Cannonball and Nimrod. Now, Hulkling is a 6-cost, 11-powered card with the interesting ability at the start of the game, okay, not when you draw it or anything, just at the start of the game, copy the text of a random 6-cost card. Now, this is very interesting. Again, he may be in your hand, he may be on the bottom of your deck, but he's just going to copy the random text. It's kind of like Valentina giving you a random 6-cost card, right? It's going to be that same pool of cards, but he's got a set stat line. He is a 6/11 every time, so that means for some 6-cost cards, you know, it's better. Like a Doctor Doom is essentially Doctor Doom plus 6 power. But if you get something like Giganto, it's Giganto minus 3 power, or Infinite minus 9 power. Okay, so he's kind of going to be all over the place in terms of, you know, his value depending on the card that he gets. So for my predictions for Hulkling, in terms of being fun, I think he's okay. Well, it may be interesting to see what he gets. If he gets something bad or just mediocre, he kind of sits in your hand, and that's not super fun, right? You want to be able to play the card out. In terms of being flexible, he's really good at flexibility. I mean, you cannot knock his flexibility. He is just a general 6-cost card, right? He kind of works like Red Hulk or Magneto. Just throw him in a deck. If you just want a big 6-cost card that's maybe going to help you out, throw him in a deck, okay? Again, you're rolling the dice a bit. You don't know what he's going to get. Sometimes it's going to get great value. Sometimes it's not, but he could reasonably fit in anywhere. He does also trigger Scar, which maybe is nice. In terms of being competitive, right now, I see him as okay. Originally, when he was announced, I had him a bit higher. And I know I was talking to Glazer with Snap Judgments, and he has him really low, like the worst card of the season. And, you know, right now I'm on the okay. I don't think he's great, but I don't think he's horrible. But I think in the long run, where I talked about how speed gets buffed, I think in the long run, Hulkling gets worse. When I first reviewed him, Alioth was a 6-8. And I'm like, well, if he hits Alioth, it's Alioth plus 3 power. That's good. Now Alioth is a 6-10. Okay, now it's only Alioth plus 1 power. And, you know, Destroyer used to have less power. Now Destroyer has more power. Spectrum now has more power. Leader got plus 1 power from the last time I talked about Hulkling. And so over time, Second Dinner's been buffing 6-cost cards, the really poor performing ones, often by giving them plus 1 power or so. And when you give a card plus power, Hulkling gets worse because he's only copying the abilities. So he actually wants to copy the lowest powered 6-cost cards with the best abilities. Well, if the average 6-cost card's power goes up over time, then Emperor Hulkling gets worse unless they also give him extra power over time. Okay, so in the long run, I think he might actually be a bad investment. So these are the cards and abilities that we have data mined for this upcoming August season. The ones I'm most excited to see how they perform is our season pass card, Kate Bishop. Again, I think she's going to be insanely strong, pretty flexible, really shake up the meta, which is pretty good, unless it's just more Loki. Yeah, I don't know. What are you going to do? Marvel Boy may actually shake up the meta in a good way. You may see full Zoo or just Marvel Boy plus Shanna. And then Wiccan I'm excited for. Again, I'm predicting he's going to fall flat. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but I think a lot of people are going to try things out with him, and he does require new decks, which is going to be exciting. If he does end up working out, which I hope he does, I do want all cards to be fun and worthwhile in terms of playing. It'll be some new kind of archetypes, which may be interesting. So those are my thoughts and my predictions for these new cards, the Young Avengers season. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Until then, stay positive. I'll see you next time.
Are you the Hip Squad?
No.
Captain Marvel jumping to the left.
Are you guys ready?
You guys are fancy.
Yes!
Oh my!
That's 3 strikes already. Team Yellow wins Snapperty.
He has gone undefeated in the ring.
Taking it back home with me, ladies and gentlemen. That created a very interesting meta.
It's going to be epic. We got some awesome competitors here. +1. Misty Knight going to the right.
Gets him over the top. And Rocco Sacco wins it in an amazing final game.
Rocco Sacco is your SnapCon 2023 champion.